Are you wondering if Squarespace might be better than Shopify? If so, then this video is going to be very helpful. We'll talk about the two and walk through the differences. So I'm here with Kyle Hamer, my business partner. Kyle, how are you, man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Really good, really good. You ready to jump into this question, Shopify versus Squarespace?
I am. No, we recently have built out a website for a client on Squarespace, and so we want to do just a quick comparison of that and get your take on that from as compared to Shopify.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll just mention a few things. Squarespace is actually a very, very nicely put together tool for website building. Loved it. It's quick to learn and pretty intuitive. Once you learn how to add content quickly, you can add pretty much anything you want, which is fantastic. I would say the main difference in terms of use case for Squarespace versus Shopify is I would not use Squarespace for e-commerce. Now, maybe you can technically, and they have the functionality to do that. But the difference for Shopify to Squarespace, I would say, is pretty clear in terms of, in particular, a build out of product and inventory and collections and product pages and all the details there. Really, Shopify is like, I would say, light years ahead and just much better. Squarespace is really ideal, I would think, for maybe small business owner that just needs a contact form, or maybe somebody who wants to blog and have a really, really nice blog. Even sites that maybe have just a need for like a landing page. So for example, an app, if you've got an app that you want to sell through a website, you could certainly have Squarespace be really, really effective for that use case, where really the call to action is just go to the App Store, or go to Google Play, whatever, and but you're not really doing a lot of transactional work. And so I think that just top line perspective, I would not put Squarespace in the same category as a e-commerce website building tool. It might have the functionality to do it technically, but in terms of the systematic use for e-commerce, Shopify is just way, way, way different and better in my view. What are your thoughts on it? Just
Yeah,
top
I
line.
totally agree. I think if you're going to do e-commerce, go with Shopify. Don't
Yeah.
try to bolt it on to Squarespace. Squarespace is perfect if you want an information website,
Yeah.
to post some content, may like you mentioned, a contact us form, talk about a sales, channel to do something or sell something. I mean, it's informationally based, right? Or blogger based. And so that would be the correct approach. What was your take on sort of the build out experience itself,
Mm-hmm.
Shopify versus Squarespace?
Sure. Shopify is really built around two core components. One component is your homepage build out, and then the other component is your product page build out. And your products generally, once you get one product set up, you kind of just, kind of rinse and repeat in terms of how you have the product pages sort of set up for your use. And those are really the two cornerstone pieces of an effective Shopify site build. And then the third thing that, of course, people spend a lot of time on is what you might call their educational or content pages, not a product page. Things like your terms of service and shipping page and your about us page, those kinds of things. And so I would say that for just pure functionality of building those pages quickly and efficiently, again, Shopify wins. But I would say this, in terms of the aesthetic and the kind of visual presentation component of it, Squarespace does really have a nice set of templates to use, and just the what you see is what you get editor. The editor tool will by default put stuff on the page very elegantly. You can make ugly Shopify site pages, and even a blog functionality in Shopify is fairly what you might just call average visually. You have to work to make it look beautiful. And people can in Shopify make their secondary pages look nice, and their blog posts look nice, but it takes work because the default editor just gives you sort of a crude words on a page, simplistic view, and Squarespace gives you just built in a lot of choices as it relates to on-page layout, font style, and spacing that just creates the opportunity for a very nice aesthetic. So I do think Squarespace has really that up on Shopify. It's better than Shopify in that regard. So if you're really about the visual aesthetic, you really, like just want to have it be absolutely just striking, and you're not so much into e-commerce, then I would say Squarespace would be a great solution for that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Shopify is definitely more template driven
Mm-hmm.
currently still, as opposed to Squarespace, which gives you more drag and drop functionality. But I think Shopify is moving towards that level of control on what you're going to do for your visual layout. But we'll see what happens with it. It's not quite there yet.
I've been on Shopify since 2013, and I have not seen progress in that regard. So,
exactly. Don't hold your breath.
Yeah, maybe not. And I love Shopify. I'm the ultimate Shopify fanboy, and really just I always encourage people to use Shopify. But as it relates to the layout, style and choices and that kind of thing for their blog functionality and their pages, it's nowhere near Squarespace. Yeah, and Squarespace does drive most of its implementation through themes. I mean, you choose a theme, and then even for pages, you do have thematic page styles you can select from as a starting point, which is really, really helpful. If Shopify copied some of that, it would be just amazing. Yeah. So I know you looked up just the basic pricing of the two options as well. You want to talk through that?
Sure. Yeah. The pricing is really going to be fairly comparable if you're looking to add the e-commerce component. Now, if you're just doing the straight Squarespace personal website and some information, it's going to cost you about $12 a month. Actually, no, $16 a month. Sorry, if you're going to do that on the personal side, and it's going to be $26 a month on Squarespace if you're going to include the e-commerce component. So it's very, very comparable in terms of pricing to Shopify. So Shopify is like $28, $29 a month for the basic plan. Mm-hmm. So they're pretty on par if you add the e-commerce component to it, for sure.
Okay. Yeah. So it's really about your use case, I would say, then at the end of the day.
Yeah.
If your use case is straight sales and you're really building a direct-to-consumer e-commerce company, I would go with Shopify every day of the week. If your use case is more information sharing and maybe selling a secondary, then Squarespace really does have some nice functionality that you could consider. So, yeah.
Yeah. The other components to Shopify that I think are really of interest is the app store, where you have extended functionality to be able to add on to that, which Squarespace doesn't have, and also the integration with other sales channels. Shopify has really, in the last few years, created this omni-channel selling platform, whether that's Amazon or Etsy or some Facebook, Google. It all sort of connecting natively into Shopify to allow you to sort of push that content out effectively.
It in essence turns Shopify into the home base that you can then publish into multiple platforms on. Yeah, and that's a really powerful piece of it. And you're right, the App Store is really incredible. Anything that you want to do on a Shopify site, generally speaking, there's an app for. It's very rare that you'll not have an app for some use case that you have on your e-commerce site. And so that's a really powerful reason to be on the Shopify platform. And then what we found over time as well is that apps will come out that are cool and interesting, and then over time what Shopify does is it just creates its own app and makes it free. In essence, is really brutal to their app market community members, but they'll just make the same kind of functionality and make it free, or they'll build in that functionality into the Shopify core. And so over time, Shopify just continues to get better and better and better because these app makers are pioneering things. And then Shopify brings it into their ecosystem for, in essence, zero cost to the end user. So that's really a neat part of the app marketplace. Yeah. Absolutely. All right, man. Well, I think this is fantastic. If you're watching this, if you enjoyed this video, then we're really grateful. Feel free to check out our other videos on our channel. We'd love to have you follow us, subscribe to the channel, and of course, check out our content on winningionshopify.com. And we'd love to have you connect with us there. We do e-commerce coaching with people. We work with people every day of the week on their e-commerce businesses. And if that's the right fit for you, you can check out more info on our website. It's by application only. And we'd love to have you look into that. And if it's a good fit, then we'll go from there together. Kyle, thanks for hanging out with me today.
Absolutely, man. It was a lot of fun.
All right. Talk soon. Bye.